Alright, today we're going to go over the 1.4 homework part 2. It's page 29 and 30, 34 to 66 even. Alright, so we're going to use this GPS again. The biggest key for this section is today, we're going to have to focus on this part right here, this to solve section. So step 1, it means you have to see equal to 0. If you do not see equal to 0 right there, you can't use the GPS. So you're going to, remember we talked about that in class where it's like, hey, you need to have signal to use your GPS. That signal that you're allowed to use your GPS is equal to 0. Once you see that, you use the factoring GPS, you follow this turn-by-turn directions, and then you set each parentheses or each factor equal to 0, and then you solve. And usually we use PEMDAS backwards to solve. Alright, so 34 is 14s squared minus 21s. I notice right away it's got it's already equal to 0, and it has two terms. So I do not see perfect squares, so I gotta hope for something in common. So I notice that they both have an s, and 7 can go into both of them. So I put 7s outside the parentheses. I pick, although that has s squared there, I only have one s at the end, so they could have at least one s in common. And 7 goes into both of them, so then I do 14 divided by 7 gives me 2. S squared divided by s is s, or think about it as I had two s's. I took away one, there's one left. Minus 21 divided by 7 is 3. I had an s, I took it outside. Now I have equal to 0. That's why there's no more s's in there. And if I want to check my work, I could redistribute to check. Alright. Now, I have two things equal to 0. This guy's equal to 0, and times that equals 0. So if you have two things that are being multiplied, it's called the zero product property. And that lets me do this. That lets me say 7s equals 0, or 2s minus 3 equals 0. And I just use PEMDAS backwards. So, I divide by 7, s equals 0. That's my first answer. I add 3, I get 2s equals 3. And divide by 2, s equals 3 halves. And that's it for 34. Alright, number 36, I have 4x squared minus 20x plus 25 equals to 0. Since I see equal to 0, I'm allowed to start using my GPS. My GPS says I have three terms. So I break down the first term. How do I get 4x squared? 2x and 2x. I could also get 1x and 4x, but remember, I always check perfect squares first. I check the square roots first. 25 is also a perfect square, so I'm going to check 5 and 5 first. Although I do have 1 and 25 as an option, I'm not going to check them first. So I'm going to check 2x and 2x. Then I'm going to check 5 and 5, so I put minus 5, minus 5. This plus sign right here tells me that I have to have matching signs. If you don't have matching signs, then you made a mistake. This minus sign right there tells me that in the middle tells me that they both have to be negative. Now I have the zero product property, which tells me this or this can be 0, so I say 2x minus 5 equals 0, or 2x minus 5 again equals 0. Add 5, get 2x equals to 5, divide by 2, x equals 5 halves. You could put 2.5, I wrote 5 halves. And then I'm going to do this again, even though you don't have to, because it's going to give me the same answer. Alright, and that's it for 36. Alright, 38, I'm going to use my GPS. Once again, it's already set equal to 0, so I'm ready to use my GPS. I have 3x and 5x. I also have 1x and 15x. And then I have negative 2 and 1, or positive 1 and negative 2. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to check 3x and 5x first. So I'm going to say 3x minus 2, 5x plus 1. Now, I'm going to check the outside. I'm going to check using FOIL. I do the outside. I get 3x. The inside I get minus 10x. Together it's negative 7x. So I get the right number, but I got the wrong sign. So that means I just have to change that to a plus. And I have to change the other one right there to a negative sign, and that will give me the right numbers. Now I have two things equal to 0, so I get to say 3x plus 2 equals 0. 5x minus 1 equals 0. Now I just solve using parameters backwards. I minus 2 from both sides. I get 3x equals 0, or equals negative 2. Then x equals negative 2/3. Add 1 to both sides. I get 5x equals 1. I divide by 5, so x equals 1/5. Alright, and that's it for 38. Alright, so 40. It's already set equal to 0, so I already see it set equal to 0. So I'm going to look for something in common. They have a common 3. Everything can be divided by 3. So I'm going to put 3 outside the parentheses. I'm going to make this 12z squared plus 32z plus 5. Now I'm going to break down it's equal to 0. Now I'm going to break down the first term. How do I get 12z squared? Well, I can have 3z and 4z, 2z and 6z, and 1z and 12z. How do I get 5? 1 and 5. So now I'm going to check 3z and 4z first. So I'm going to put 3z plus 1, 3z plus 5. I'm sorry, it should be 5z. Or 4z, I mean. I'm being crazy. I do the outside, gives me 15z. The inside gives me 4z. Together, that's 19z. It's not the 32z I want in the middle, so I know that's not right. So, I'm going to just flip it, because I can't cross off 3z and 4z until I flip it. So I do the outside, gives me 3z. The inside gives me 20z. Together, that gives me 23z. Alright? That doesn't work. So now I can cross off 3z and 4z. So I'm going to try 2z and 6z. Alright, so now I'm trying 2z and 6z. I do the outside, I get 2z. I do the inside, I get 30z. And that's what I want, 32z. That's what I want. So that means this works. So now I get to say 2z plus 5 equals 0. Or 6z plus 1 equals 0. I minus 5 from both sides. I get 2z equals negative 5. So z equals negative 5/2. I minus 1 from both sides. I get 6z equals negative 1. So z equals, after I divide 6 by both sides, negative 1/6. And that's it. Alright, 42 to 48, say finding zeros. So put it in intercept form, and remember, intercept form is y equals a, x minus p, x minus q. So you got to have two sets of parentheses, no number with x. Alright, that takes a little bit of work, and then you're going to find p and q. Or you could just erase the y, f of x, and write 0, and then solve like 34, 36, etc. I'm going to do it this way, just to show you what it looks like, because that's how the book intended you to do it. Alright, so 42 is gx squared is equal to 3x squared minus 8x plus 5. It's got 3 terms. There's nothing in common. So the first thing I do is I say, how do I get 3x squared? 3x and x. How do I get 5? 1 and 5. I know they're both going to be negative, because the middle sign is negative and the last sign is positive. So I'm going to try 3x plus 1, or, I'm sorry, 3x minus 1, x minus 5. Here's g of x equals 2. I check the outside. I get minus 15x. The inside I get minus x. I know that's going to be minus 16x. It's not what I want. So now I'm just going to flip the 1 and the 5. So I'm going to put flip them. And I get minus 3x minus 5x is minus 8x. Right? Now remember, intercept form is a, x minus p, x minus q. I'm not allowed to have the 3 there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 3 and I'm going to move it right outside the parentheses. Now if I do that, I have to divide the 3 by both. So I have to take this x right here, because 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then I do negative 5, so 3 divided by 3 gave me this. Negative 5 divided by 3 is just going to be minus 5/3. I didn't do anything with the x minus 1, so it just stays x minus 1. And now it is intercept form. So I have to find p and q. So a is 3, p is 5/3, q is 1. Right? Now p and q are my zeros. And that's it. So there you have two answers. You got p and q and the actual intercept form. And that's it for 42. Alright, f of x equals 3x squared minus 3x. How do I get 3? It's two terms, which tells me that I have to have something in common. They both have a 3. They both have an x. So I'm going to put f of x equals 3x, and then 3 divided by 3 is 1. X squared over x is x. Minus 3 divided by 3 is minus 1. Alright? Now remember, I need to have y equals a x minus p, x minus q. So here's what I'm going to do. And you're allowed to do this because you can add 0 to anything, and all of it is multiplication. Now it's really easy to find p and q. I just put x plus 0 in parentheses, because this and this are the same thing. So now I have a is 3, p is 0, q is 1. And there are my zeros. And that's it for 44. So, 46, same exact concept, except this time we have 3 terms again. So, there's nothing in common, so I'm going to try 4x and 4x, then 2x and 6x, then 1x and 16x. My only options for 5 are negative 1 and 5, and if I get the right number and the wrong sign, I'll just flip the signs later. So I won't write it twice. So I'm going to say y equals, and I'm going to try 4x and 4x first. 4x minus 1, 4x plus 5. I get 20x minus 4x is 16x. Not what I want, so I get to cross off 4x and 4x. I don't have to flip it because 4x and 4x are the same. So I already know 4x and 4x doesn't work. So now I'm going to try 2x and 6x. So I'm going to put 2x and 6x. I do the outside. I get 10x. Oh, it should be 8x. I don't know why I put. The outside is 10x. The inside is minus 8x. Together it's 2x. So all I have to do here is I have to flip these signs. So I'm going to say 2x plus 1, 8x minus 5. Now, I can't have a number in front of the x. So I'm going to kick those out. So I'm going to say y equals 2. 2 leaves. So now I'm going to have x plus 1/2. Now 8 leaves. I have x minus 5/8. So my final answer is going to be y equals, I have to multiply 2 times 8 to get 16, x plus 1/2, x minus 5/8. So my a is 16, my p is 1/2 negative, and my q is positive 5/8. And those are my answers. Alright, 48. I have 18x squared minus 6x minus 4. And they have a 2 in common before I do anything. So I'm going to write y equals 2. 9x squared minus 3x minus 2. Just going to make my life easier. I have 3x and 3x, or 1x and 9x. I have negative 1 and 2. Now I'm going to try them. So y equals 2, and I'm going to put 3x and 3x first, just because that's what I always try first. I'm going to do the outside and the inside to check it, put minus 1 and plus 2. The outside gives me 6x. The inside gives me minus 3x. Together that's 3x. Really close, except I have the right number but the wrong sign. So that just means I have to change both those signs. To make that minus go away, I have to make that plus go away, and I just got to switch them. So now it's a minus 2 and a plus 1. Now I got to kick these 3's out. So I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to kick the 3 out. 2 times this 3 is going to come outside, which means I have to divide this guy by 3 and this guy by 3. So I put x plus 1/3. Now this guy, 3, is going to come out, and I have to divide them both by 3. So I'm going to have x minus 2/3. Now I'm going to multiply all the numbers together. So I get y equals 2 times 3 is 6 times 3 is 18. X minus 1, or x plus 1/3. X minus 2/3. So therefore I have A is 18. P is negative 1/3. Q is positive 2/3. And that's it for 48. Alright, 48, we have the area of a square. Alright, area is equal to S squared. So I'm going to write, and I know that one side is equal to 2x. So I'm going to say area equals 2x. Squared. So I get area is equal to 2x squared. And remember, the area is equal to 36. So I have 2x squared equals 36. I'm going to move move the 36 over, so I get 2x squared minus 36 equals 0. Now I have two perfect squares, so I just say x minus 6, x plus 6 equals 0. So x is equal to 6, x equals negative 6. Cannot have a negative length, so I cross that one off. So my final answer is 6. And that's it for 48. Alright, so the area of a triangle, the formula is base times height over 2, or 1/2 base times height. Here's the base, here's the height. So the area is equal to 5x times 2x all over 2. Remember, the area is 115, so I get 10x squared all over 2. Oh, I messed up. It is not 5x plus 2, 5x, it is 5x minus 2. That changes everything. So 2x goes to both. So I get 115 is equal to 10x squared minus 4x all over 2. 2 can go to both of them. So this becomes 115 equals 5x squared minus 2x. I have to set it equal to 0. Remember, that's the rule. Step 1, always set it equal to 0 before you use your GPS. So I get 5x squared minus 2x minus 115 equals 0. And then I have to figure out how to get 115. I'm going to start with 5. And 23. Oh, that's a 25 I wrote. Alright, so I'm going to guess. Let's say 5x. Remember, the only way to get 5x squared is 5x into x. 5x plus 23. X minus 5. The outside is 25x negative. The inside is 23x positive. That gives me what I want. So my answers are 5x plus 23 equals 0, or x minus 5 equals 0. So x equals 5 is a good answer. As soon as I subtract 23 here, I know I cannot have a negative length, so that's, although mathematically it's correct, it's impossible, so 5 is my only answer. Alright, 54, I have 24x squared plus 8x plus 2 equals 5 minus 6x. Step 1 is I have to set it equal to 0, so I have to subtract 5 from both sides. I have to add 6x to both sides so I can make this right side turn into 0. I end up with 24x squared plus 14x minus 3 equals 0. So I'm going to check my options. 1 and 24x, 2 and 12x, 3 and 8x, 4x, there's x's there, and 6x, and that's about it. So I'm going to go and do just my checks for -1 and +3. I always start at the middle, so I'm going to check 4x and 6x first. So I'm going to have 4x and 6x first. Remember, it's equal to 0, so I'm allowed to do this. So I'm going to put -1 and +3. The outside you get 12x, the inside you get -6x. Together that's 6x. Not going to work. I can't cross -1 out and 3 yet, because I have to switch it. So before I do anything, I got to switch those two. So I put +3 -1. I get -4x. The inside gives me +18x, and that's what I want, 14x. So these are my answers. So I say 4x +3 equals 0. Or 6x -1 equals 0. I minus 3, then divide by 4, x equals -3/4. I add 1, then divide by 6, x equals 1/6. And that's it for 54. Alright, 56. Once again, we have to set it equal to 0 first. So I have to minus 22 from both sides. Notice, I don't put the 22 near the x or the x squared because they're not like terms. And 5x squared has to go with the other x squareds. I line them up so I get I make sure I have the correct terms. So I'm going to put 18x squared plus 21x minus 22 equals 0. Remember, that's why I put those in there, so I could cancel it out and get 0. So now there's nothing in common, so I have to say, how do I get 18x squared? 1x and 18x, 2x and 9x, 3x and 6x. How do I get 22? -1 and 22, -2 and 11. My first guess is going to be 3x and -2 and 11. I'm just going to see if it works. 3x minus 2, 6x plus 11. I do 33x on the outside, minus 12x on the inside. That's 21x, exactly what I want. Remember, it's equal to 0. So now because of that, I'm allowed to say 3x minus 2 equals 0. Or 6x plus 11 equals 0. I add 2 and divide by 3. So I get x equals 2/3. I minus 11. I get 6x equals -11. I divide by 6, so x equals -11/6. And that's my answer for 56. Alright, 58 is pretty tough because it's got a lot of stuff going on. So we have x plus 8 squared equals 16 minus x squared plus 9x. So now the first thing you have to do is you have to FOIL this. Because remember, that's x plus 8, x plus 8. That's the only way you can multiply that, by writing it twice in FOIL. So this left side turns into x squared plus 16x plus 64. Now I have to move all this stuff over here over. So I'm going to minus 16 from both sides. I'm going to add x squared to both sides. And then I'm going to minus 9x from both sides. So I'm going to end up with 2x squared plus 7x minus 48 equals 0. Now I go through and I say, how do I get 2x squared, 2x, and x? That's the only option. How do I get 48? Minus 1 and 48, minus 2 and 24, minus 3 and 16, minus 4 and 12, minus 6 and 8. So I'm just going to start guessing and checking. 2x and x. Remember, it's got to equal to 0. I do minus 1 and 48. I get 96. I don't know why I'm doing that one first, but I get 96x on the outside. Minus 1x is 97x. Not going to work. I flip it and put 48 and -1. I get 48 on the inside, minus 2x on the inside, that's 46, so that's not going to work. Now I'm going to check negative, so I'm going to cross negative 1 and 48 on my list. I'm going to go back to negative 6 and 8. I actually know minus 6 and 8 won't work, because if I plugged in negative 6, it would have something in common, and because I had nothing in common there. That's a little trick, but the more experience you get factoring, you would know you don't have to check minus 6 and 8. Same thing with minus 4 and 12. So it can actually only be minus 3 and 16. So if minus 3 and 16 doesn't work, this is actually unfactorable. I get 32x. Minus 3x is 29x. It's not factorable. So we're going to say no, not factorable. Alright, I'm not going to say no solution because there is a solution to this. We just haven't figured out how to do it yet. Alright, they have a 2x squared in common. So I think everybody has a really easy time seeing the 2 in common. All those can be divided by 2. But the x squared is what's also in common. They all have at least 2x. So I put 2x squared outside the parentheses. It turns into 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. Now I'm going to say, how do I get 2x squared? 2x and 2x. How do I get minus 3? Minus 1 and 3. So 2x squared, 2x, and I'm going to make it plus 1 and 2x minus 3, because when I did it first, I didn't have the right, I had the right number but the wrong sign. So I check it. It gives me minus 6x plus 2x. Together, that's the minus 4x that I need. So that's the right answer for 60. Alright, this is 62. I have this rectangular stained glass window. Alright, it is 2 feet by 1 foot. Alright, I have an extra 4 square feet to make a border. Alright, so I need to be able to add some amount here, we'll call it x, and some amount here, we'll call that x, to make a border. Alright, now this area in the middle is going to be 2 feet. So the total area is going to be 6 square feet. Now area is equal to length times width. So I need to know this length. Alright, that is going to be, it's normally 2 feet from here to here, but I'm going to have an x here and an x here. So the area is going to be 2x, or the length is going to be 2x plus 2. Same thing, I've got to figure out this length right here. Now from right there, it is 1 foot. But then I have an x right here, x right there, so it's going to be 2x plus 2. So I get 6 is equal to 2x plus 1, not 2x plus 2. 2x plus 2 times 2x plus 1. So I have to FOIL first. So I get 6 square feet, which I don't even need the square feet at the moment, is equal to, and I'm going to FOIL it, 4x squared. The outside is 2x, the inside is 4x, so it's plus 6x plus 2. Now I have to set it equal to 0. So minus 6 from both sides. So I get 4x squared plus 6x minus 6, so it's minus 4 equals 0. I take out a 2 in common, so I get 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. I say 2x minus 1, x plus 2. That works. So I have to solve it. I get 2x minus 1 equals 0. So x equals 1/2. That's my only good answer. Right? And then that's 6 inches. Alright? Or half a foot. And 64 and 66 in class. So 64 and 66 will be started in class, and those will be 2 of your accuracy problems. There is one mistake in here, so pay attention for that.